last president to do that was actually Barack Obama in 2011. He banned refugees in 2011 from Iraq on the basis of the Bowling Green University shooting. They found that basically there were refugees and immigrants moving back and forth in the country, bringing in weapons and people to cause these attacks. So that's why that was happening. So questions off of that? Go ahead.
Do you think he's gonna do this a lot, like bans, like?
I don't know. I really don't know. I guess my thing is, and I think this is why people are so upset about this, is the big question, why, right? Why is he doing it? Is he doing it to improve the immigration and refugee system? If he's doing that, okay, sure, right? But the problem here is there's no cause to this. I think that's what people are really upset about, is cause. Hunter?
What is banning it for just that amount of time like do?
Basically, it's pausing the system to basically for either him as the executive branch to then make sure that the immigration policy is where he wants it, okay? So that's what he's doing, he's basically having a slowdown. Have we done it in the past? A whole bunch of times, okay? But I guess the thing again, it's cause, yeah.
So they said he signed 12 executive in the past week, and then what so he signed the executive bill to pass the building for the wall. What has to happen now for it to actually be built?
Okay, so to back you up on that, the wall, okay, has already been passed by Congress in 2006. There's a law already in place to make a barrier on the southern border. But because of what happened with the recession, plus President Obama not wanting to make a wall because he was afraid of cost, it never got enforced. More or less what Trump is now doing is that he's enforcing the law that was passed 10 years ago. So that's how he's getting, and plus, yes, sir. And so what he did was he basically is going to be cutting back certain federal departments, plus his executive order to stop government funding of global abortion worldwide. That basically gave him the majority of the money needed to build the wall already. It was approximately $15 billion. It's with a B. Yeah. Yes.
Will he really be able to pay each person that works on the wall $85 an hour?
I have no idea. The thing is, though, it's a federal program, so he could probably do that.
It's a lot of money.
I'm assuming they probably have to be highly trained to do so, but I mean, it is possible. The federal government throughout the Great Depression made hundreds of thousands of jobs that were overly paid. Basically, they were paid far higher than the market value to basically spark the economy. One of the things like Franklin Delano Roosevelt did in the 1930s was he paid people double. So you got paid individually, and your household that sponsored you got paid. So like if like a 20-year-old son goes off to work on the Tennessee Valley Commission, he would be paid, plus his family would be paid, basically double salary. But it became too expensive because again, you're paying people twice of the normal value. So it is possible, but again, it's rather costly then. Anything else? Okay. Just wanted to, go ahead, yeah.
It's unrelated, kind of.
Sure.
Did the minimum wage go up in PA yet or not?
Not that I know
Was
of.
it, I know they just did it in New York. It's $9.75.
Well, I'm just trying to remember whatever happened in New York doesn't mean what happened.
I know. I heard people talking.
What is it?
The minimum wage. Yeah, it's $9.75 in New York.
What? Dude,
That's why we're
New York, it's $2 an hour.
As far as I know, it's gonna remain steady in 2017.
What is it, 750?
725.
Still?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
Good stuff last.
Yeah.
I got the dude. No, like, oh,
How many points is this?
Oh yeah, no, I shot like 15 times.
I'm like 30. I'm probably like
Yeah. highest minimum wage that I can see in all the states is Washington State at $11.
Really?
That's the highest.
That's the highest, $11 an hour for the minimum wage.
Oh, Canada's minimum wage is $12.50 and it's supposed to even
Oh,
go up.
Portland's in Oregon. Yeah.
I was saying Canada's minimum wage is $12.50 and it's supposed to go up even more.
Who's gonna go out there and Yes. That's
Yeah, like, if they.
Well, that's the issue. So let me give you an example. Average teaching position in the country makes about 38,000 starting. Okay, so average teaching position about 38,000 proposed. Yeah, proposed about 36 across the board. When I was living in North Carolina, it was 30. Okay, if you come up to here, it's about 38 to 42 starting in Erie. Okay, in Manassas, Virginia, Ritter and Washington D.C., it's 54,000 starting. And it's because the cost of living in the D.C. area is much more expensive. Yeah, 'cause I mean, like the average apartment in the D.C. area is like $1,600 a month.
How much of
Well, yeah, cheese.
And there's some
really? I thought it would have risen.
Like gas prices. Gas prices are higher in certain areas. Generally, the one thing you want to look at, if you want to know how expensive an area is, if you want to know how expensive an area is, look at how much a gallon of milk is. Gallon of milk will really tell you approximately how much the cost of living is. Because right now, a gallon of milk in the United States, in Erie, is about $3.50, give or take.
Cars run on milk.
Some areas it's more, some areas it's less. Yeah.
Doesn't Pennsylvania have the highest tax rate of all the states at the moment?
Right, because we don't tax all the income, all the sales tax goods. That's our issue, is because we have higher income tax rates because we have less things that we are taxing for sales tax. So it kind of balances out. Or else the stuff you wouldn't be doing by commerce, you're now doing out of your pocket like income. So it's all kind of, yay, right? Yeah. We have the highest gas tax for sure. Oh, that's what it is. We have the highest gas tax. I don't think we have the highest income tax. Highest income tax, I'm pretty sure is New York. Yeah. Yeah. There goes your $9.75. Right out your pocket. New York, right? Delightful. Good times. All right. So, what happens to the Native Americans? That's what we're going to talk about today. I think we're finished off.
So if you do work in New York, you don't return taxes in anywhere in New York, you still turn them in.
Yes, you have to pay through New York because you're in the state of New York. So you're going to have to pay state and local taxes in the state of New York.
So how do I go about that?
Plus Pennsylvania. What's that?
So how would I, do I have to go to a bank in New York?
No, your W-2s.
Yeah.
Your W-2s will come in and basically you're going to be taxed from the state. And most likely because you're a Pennsylvania resident, they're going to overtax you, so your return will have to be pretty deep.
My return.
Your tax return.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm also shooting a movie, the whole Taco 12 pack one.
You should be
Right
at
out.
least.
Sweet.
You should be at least.
Shoot down that whole
Won't be like, wow, crazy. Couple hundred.
I wasn't expecting that much.
dude.
What they do is because they're afraid that you're not gonna actually do taxes, they overtax you. So that way you would actually get some back, but if you don't file them, they're like, oops, bad hand. No.
Is it?
I think it's just Ian.
Is it just Ian?
I don't think
They don't
it's
care.
No, really not.
So we should actually probably say
Let
more
me get
stuff.
this down.
Look at my
So what causes the spark that really infuriates the Indian War, which is going to eventually cause the Native Americans to be pushed out, is the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868. Now, with the Dakota Pipeline thing that's going on right now, the Sioux Nation never signs the 1868 Laramie Treaty. They're going to actually go into rebellion. Who's going to help them? The famous Sioux leader, Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull is going to be the great Native American leader who's going to cause the resistance. But the majority of the Native American nations within the Midwest are going to sign this 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, basically giving them land to their hunting grounds from previous areas, kind of like circling them, wherever you're at, this is where you'll stay. And all that was good and fun until some Americans went into Sioux Nation territory in the Black Hills in the Dakotas and discovered gold. This is where things get complicated. George Armstrong Custer, one of the great Civil War heroes, pretty interesting dude. He graduates from West Point in 1861, goes into the Civil War as a lieutenant, comes out of the Civil War as a 2-star general. But because the army gets shrunk, he gets dropped down to a colonel. So now he's now in charge of, instead of a division, he's now in charge of a 1,000-man regiment. And Grant, who was a friend of his, says, Custer, you're going to be on a secret mission. See if there's gold in the Sioux Nation. Now, what is going on with our economy in 1873 that would have us want to look for gold? The Panic of 1873, okay? The United States needs money, and they need to find gold to keep our currency up. And so Grant finds out this mission of potentially finding gold in the Black Hills. He tells Custer, you're on a secret mission. See if there's gold. If there's gold, report to me only. Now, that's not what Custer does. Why do you think Custer tells the public?
So they
What's that?
go to,
I'm sorry.
so they go to the.
Well, okay, they can go to it, that's one part, but why does Custer want to make this known to the public? Think about it.
He might want to like say that he owns the land or something, and then like make them give him portions of.
The land's controlled by the Sioux, so he can't do that. But why would someone like Custer, who used to have all this glory, want to become public again?
You want everybody to know that he's brown.
And what would happen 3 years later that he could potentially run for?
Oh.
He wants to run for president. So he finds gold and he tells all the newspapers. And President Grant's like, basically, are you freaking kidding me? And all of this problem happens. All these Americans start rushing into the Dakotas, okay, just like the gold rush in California. And they have this huge boom. Now, I don't know if any of you watched the HBO series Deadwood, but this is where the Deadwood era starts, okay? They find gold in the Black Hills, and Deadwood becomes one of the first big boom towns that comes up. Do you know why Deadwood's kind of famous or infamous? It's from that website activity that, you remember? What's famous about Deadwood?
Was it all the trees in the valley that are dead? Is that
But why is the town itself famous? That's why it's called Deadwood, but why is the town famous?
Isn't that because a bunch of outlaws went there or something?
Yeah, Deadwood had no laws. You could do whatever you wanted. So everything was legal. Drugs, alcohol, prostitution, everything was legal. And it wasn't until about 10 to 15 years after the town was established that they actually had a full-time sheriff. Basically what happened is, if you killed someone, the town would get a posse together and kill you. And feed you to pigs. So your family didn't even know where you existed. It was crazy, okay?
That'd be so fun.
Yeah, except for the whole dead part. Besides that, it's a great idea. It's great. Yeah. Pretty scary.
How would they find out who built it?
What's that? Oh, come on. People know word of mouth, you know. Like if it happens at a bar, that happens out. Basically, someone finds out that you killed Jay Landry. I'm gonna kill you now. Like the whole idea of like Wild West movies comes out of the concept of Deadwood. Because there is no law. Like out west, there's a whole bunch of law. Wild Bill Hickok becomes famous because he's a famous gunslinger. And like that's what you did. If you had disagreements out west, you just shot the guy. You had to make sure that your gun came out of the holster faster. He actually cut his holsters to make sure that his guns came out super fast. Pretty crazy. He also used old 1830s ones that had basically heavier caliber. They were 45 ball instead of 38. So here's the two famous pictures. You've got Sitting Bull right there. Crazy Horse right there.
Crazy Horse. Yeah. Crazy Horse is the warrior chief. Sitting Bull is basically the leader of the Sioux. And what happens is Custer finds the gold. The Sioux basically rebel because the Americans are now inside their property. And so they start condensing all the other Native American neighboring tribes to create an army to push all these people out, you know.
What made him pick those names?
Supposedly, and I don't know how true this is, but supposedly it is what the mother dreams of the most while she's pregnant.
A crazy horse.
It's like a wild horse.
So,
Setting
Bull
goal.
just sitting there, not doing anything?
He's just chilling. Yeah. Maybe he's, you know, maybe he's watching Hulu, you know, getting caught up in the office. I don't know. Yeah.
The office is on campus.
I know. Anyways, so I can get this down. So then Custer's trying to stop these Native Americans. Now, this is one of the most legendary failures in U.S. military history. Custer's last stand. Now, it's Custer, not custard. Custard would be ice cream. So you can go to this last ice cream stand, okay? This, yeah. So what happens is Custer is a part of a division of cavalry coming to stop the Sioux Nation. He's the first lead regiment to scout out the position. If he waits 3 days, there are 12 Gatling guns ready to mow down the tribe. But he says, I've got this. He has approximately 750 men. He'll be facing 5,500 men on horseback. He's got single shot guns. They've got lever action guns. And he makes an even bigger failure. He's going to divide up his 750 men into 3 different groups to surround the camp. And so what happens is he sends out his biggest faction himself. He has 2 other subordinates that are going to basically hold the other crossing of the river, the Little Bighorn, and they're going to try and basically pinch the camp together. What they don't know is the warriors are already mobilized, the camp is basically vacant, and they get surrounded and killed.
Who's drunk in this?
What's that?
Was this the one where there were people that were drunk in this?
No, that was the Sand Creek Massacre.
Oh.
And so what happens here is Custer dies. He becomes this world-acclaimed, basically martyr hero of the Indian Wars. And now the United States goes into a full revenge campaign against the Native Americans because of what happens at the Little Bighorn. The reality is Custer was stupid. He was not using proper military strategy, and he gets wrecked for it. One of the things the Native Americans believed in was the way your body was on Earth was the way your body was in the afterlife. And so what they did was to his body when they mutilated it is they punctured his eardrums in hopes that in the next life they could sneak up and kill him a second time. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
So they sucked something down his ear.
What's that?
They sucked something down his ear.
Yeah. Fun. He was already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know for sure what happened to Custer. Some Native Americans believe that when they got surrounded, they thought they saw Custer commit suicide. But for the most part, from what we hear, is basically, in the last time when they're surrounded, they basically tried to make a break for it, and all of them get killed in Custer's group. Supposedly there was one guy who got shot and rode off blindly, and might have been the only survivor of it, but it was never fully confirmed. Now, how arrogant was this guy? Look at this outfit.
Looks like a beast.
Yeah. Oh, it's a gallant mustache. So with this one,
I like a hair.
he's got a red tie, big red puffy cuffs, looks like the 70s. And then in the 70s, he looked like a Prussian officer. Really weird. Really weird. He actually got the Medal of Honor at Gettysburg. He led 2 massive charges on the 3rd day. But that's what it looks like. So He tries to hold off right here and gets surrounded in this area. The other two people try to hold off the other crossing, okay? And then they get surrounded. Likely guess, these two bullets right here, they know him.
Yeah.
Shush,
Okay. Which two bullets?
top two. So after Bighorn, the U.S. Army is going to bring in basically their former Civil War heroes, William Tecumseh Sherman. They're going to bring in General Sheridan, more or less the bigwigs of the Civil War, and they're going to come to basically drive out the Native Americans. They're going to move the Sioux Nation so far out of the country, they're actually pushed into around Vancouver, Canada. And because they could not go any farther north and they couldn't live in that environment, they are actually going to go back into the United States and go on military reservations. Prior to the 1868 Laramie Treaty, they had their own independent territory on the reservations. After Little Bighorn, all the reservations are controlled by military police. The military police were actually former Native Americans who become U.S. military MPs. Sitting Bull is going to surrender in 1881. Rumor has it, legend has it, so to speak, Sitting Bull supposedly was trying to surrender to go to a different camp, and the military police get too overzealous and shoot him in his house. He gets killed. He gets killed by Native American police, which is really bizarre. Now, we don't even know if it was an accident or what, but he gets killed.
But was there any like undercover people that were Native American that were just trying to get into the U.S. Army?
There was, but it's really small. Because what happens is, more or less, the U.S. Army is going to crush down on them so hard. There's no real way for them to take that off. And they're going to constantly drive them off of their home territories. They have no, basically familiar surroundings. Now, one of the things that the U.S. is going to be doing while all this is going on is, one of the proposals is Congress wants to bring Native Americans into U.S. culture. And there's two ways to really bring people into U.S. culture. One is assimilation, the other one is pluralism. Can someone tell me what the difference is? We haven't talked about this yet. Now, what's the difference between assimilation and pluralism? Anyone know? Did someone tell me the difference between a heterogeneous and homogeneous solution? Yeah, what is it?
Is it one of them like mixed and one of them's like set apart, but still on the same thing?
Close, yeah. You're close.
Isn't assimilation where you're like mixed in with the society?
Right, so assimilation, you basically merge into the society in the hope that you become that culture, okay? Pluralism is you have various other cultures. So can I give you an example here? Pluralism is like a chicken salad, okay? Is it a salad? Yes. Can you take the individual parts out of it and represent it? Yes. Okay. That's pluralism. Assimilation is a sugar cookie, okay? You have ingredients, but it becomes one thing. Can you take the eggs out of a cookie? No, right? You can't take the eggs back out. Once it's in, everything's kind of incorporated. So homogeneous solution, assimilation, that's a cookie, okay? Heterogeneous or pluralism, that's a chicken salad. Make sense, everyone? All right, let me get those definitions down. The United States is going to go into an assimilationist policy with the Native Americans. They're going to absorb them and integrate them into American society, teaching them Christianity, teaching them American values, American history, and trying to get them away from their Native American culture, okay? Which is essentially contradictory to what we are today. Now, when people talk about, in today's society, nationalists or nationalism, people usually connect it to the idea of assimilation. So everyone wants to have the same society, the same culture, okay? and this is something that you have to kind of figure out for yourself. Is it better for the United States to have one strong culture or to have various cultures and all accepted? That's a big question, and that's a big, something that you've got to kind of figure out. Do you want one solid American culture, or do you like the idea of having various cultures throughout this one nation? Thoughts? I mean, it's a big question. It's a big question. Would you prefer one solid culture or various other cultures? It's a big, deep question. Ethan?
I think a bunch of different cultures, because diversity is key to survival.
It's true, okay? And I guess the thing, the majority of Americans are pluralist in value, okay? More or less, if you want to do whatever you want to do and you're not affecting me, sure, great, right? I don't think most people want to have one standardized American culture, because for the most part, what are some things that all Americans do, okay? We love eating. We definitely, yeah, Americans love eating now. We are all about big, big food, that's for sure. We all celebrate the 4th of July, right? We all celebrate essentially some type of Christmas celebration or winter solstice or whatever, okay? We all celebrate a Thanksgiving, okay? And for the most part, most Americans really, really, really like sports, whatever sport it may be. Am I right? For the most part. What's that? It's okay. You're allowed to. For goodness sakes, everyone's gonna act like Sunday's a national holiday. Super Bowl. Think about it. If you didn't know, every single Super Bowl is the most televised sport event in our history. It always increases. Now here's a real pop quiz question. Does anyone know what was the most watched television show in U.S. history? One show though. One episode. Happened in 1983. Most watched television episode in U.S. history.
The opposite George Seinfeld.
No, Seinfeld was like late 80s and 90s.
Oh,
Yeah,
Cheers.
the Addams Family.
Not Cheers, but you're in the right era though. Friends was 90s.
No, that's.
It's still on TV land. So,
Oh,
oh, that was 90s.
Little House on the Prairie?
No, you're close. You're getting warmer.
Come on, Don.
It
Take
was
us
a
home.
Korean. It was a Korean War TV show.
Godzilla.
4 letters.
Don't act like you knew that.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
MASH. Yes.
What is it?
It was the very last episode of MASH.
You're a genius.
Oh my God, Tom, you're so cool. You didn't even know
As a movie.
I thought you were saying MASH. It's like, no, the show's definitely MASH. Yeah, MASH was a TV show that's taking place during the Korean War, and the whole premise is that the whole cast were a part of a MASH stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, and so more or less it was kind of like a combination of if they like a war TV show plus like Dr. House, kind of a combination, but it was really funny. It was kind of like slapstick comedy. It was a really good show. I'm a big fan of MASH.
Big
that?
fan of
Yeah, it
MASH,
was,
too.
yeah.
MASH.
What's interesting about it, it used to be in Technicolor, and then it goes into like yeah.
Do TV shows like back when they were first
Get this done, please.
starting to develop new forms of TV and stuff?
Yeah.
Mid-season, would they change the way it looks? Like, you know how like color came out and for the Wizard of
Okay,
Oz?
so Wizard of Oz specifically does the color switch to show off Technicolor. Okay. Most TV shows stayed very uniform throughout their entire season. The whole idea of like a mid-season finale is actually a new thing. That's a new thing that's happened really in the last 10 years. And does anyone know why they do mid-season finales now?
Keep you interested.
What part of it for the plot? Does anyone know why
Well,
they
like, during into Christmas season when like they do that.
Christmas season? Yeah. They basically divide up their seasons now.
Oh, like The Walking Dead.
Like The Walking Dead, exactly. So basically from like, mid to late November, or maybe even early December, they'll go like mid-season, and then basically have a pause until February. Because most people watch TV in the fall and springtime. That's why most TV shows that are starting out will actually premiere in the summer, because it's basically less pressure for their viewing. That's why shows like on like USA, Suits, Royal Pain, stuff like that. Yeah. So the Dawes Act's plan is to assimilate Native Americans into one U.S. culture. Now, one thing I want you to recognize here is the problem with this idea of one American culture. If you were to dress someone today in one clothing attire and say this is the American outfit, you really don't have one, okay? Everyone wears everything different, everyone has different genres, etc., okay? So the idea of having one U.S. culture is really, really difficult to connect to. Their plan is this: to break up the reservation system, give everyone 160 acres of land, just like the Homestead Act. The extra land would be sold off, cash value would be going back to the reservation. The downside is the majority of this land is going to be controlled by the government. This is why the majority of land in out west is actually controlled by the federal government today, is because this is old reservation territory. This is going to create schools and basically indoctrination centers to have children being taken from their families and put into these forced boarding schools where they would learn to become American. This is some dark stuff. Some of these children would be basically like ripped out of their household. So like here's an example. I have to get this done. So here's an example. Kid on the left, okay? Kid on the right, same person. Yeah.
It's so much darker.
Well, remember, shading though. So they basically put a lamp on his face to make him look more white. The children were put into like military uniforms. They went from wearing Native American clothes to now the American clothing. And a lot of these people are now losing their identity as Native Americans because they're being forced into this Dawes Act of Americanization. I'd like to get these two things down. 1870s and the 1880s, the Sioux, after Sitting Bull surrenders, is trying to find a way to bring back their old ways. They go back to an old idea known as the ghost dance. It was a ceremonial dance that was trying to bring back, excuse me, there we go. The ghost dance is basically forcing Native Americans into this assimilation, and so the Sioux is going to bring back this idea that the ghost dance would have the people of the dead past come to protect them and make them invincible from the, quote, white bullets. Now, you and I both know that this doesn't work, but it's thought that counts. Now, one of the places, or one of the classic phrases we always hear about is, have anyone ever heard the phrase when someone jumps off a cliff, Geronimo?
Yeah.
Anyone know why that is?
Is there a dude named John?
There was a Native American in the Southwest called Geronimo. He was chased by the U.S. government for over 10 years. He was about to be captured by the U.S. government and convicted for crimes. And so instead of him being captured, what's he do?
Jump off the cliff.
He jumps off a cliff and supposedly yells out, Geronimo.
Did he die?
No, he lived forever. He's still living with Tupac. Yes, he does. Yes.
Tupac.
Yes.
Why do you have a closed casket then?
What's that?
Why do you have a closed casket then?
Because his face looked like ground beef.
He shot in the head.
Or did he?
He got shot in the chest.
Or did he?
No, pretty sure he got shot.
Or
Yeah, murked. John Wilkes Booth.
We have any movie right there.
Should have-
you filth. And Latina American.
Oh, yeah.
And
More on school.
That's
I
One and done.
So it's
Alright, so, by 1890, this is what's left of the Native Americans population with their reservations. The Sioux originally had this whole territory, and now they're basically blocked in this area. The pipeline, all the issue is coming right from, or actually from this tribe right here. The pipeline's going through here, and they think it's too close. And so then you have the last awful event that happens with Native Americans. I'd like to get these two bullets down. The Battle of Wounded Knee. 1890, off the coast of Wounded Knee Creek. They're going to move the Sioux to another reservation that's closer and smaller, controlled by the military. There's only about 1,200 of them in this camp. They were de-arming the Native Americans. We don't know all the details, but supposedly while they're de-arming, someone's gun goes off, and the U.S. cavalry is going to just start shooting down people. And there's a little bit of a push by the Sioux to try and rearm themselves with a pile of guns. They're going to be shot down. They have artillery surrounding the camp. They're going to fire cannons into the camp and basically kill a ton of people here. Only 50 people will survive this. Women, children, elderly are all going to be killed in this camp. I will show you a couple of the photographs of it. It is nasty.
I think you put Indian.
Right.
That's incorrect.
But then in the next sentence, I have Native American.
So do you call people from India Indians?
What's that? Yeah, people from India are Indians. Remember, Columbus screwed up, remember?
Right.
Right. It's like, come on, Christopher, you have one job. You know the weirdest part about Columbus? The portraits that we know of him were all done after he died. We have no idea what Columbus actually looks like. No idea.
Oh.
No idea. There's even American portraits of Columbus, and what they did was they basically meshed the after-death portrait of Columbus plus George Washington. So we have no idea what Columbus looks like.
Probably really ugly.
That's
He's
possible.
probably really ugly because nobody paid.
Question is he John C. Calhoun ugly? That's the real question.
The dude who got the bullet scar right here too.
Alright, so here's the photographs. The U.S. government is going to bury these people in a mass burial pit. And they pose for the photograph. Isn't that weird? Here's what the camp looked like after the battle.
It's snowing.
Did they?
Yeah, it is winter. Yeah.
Did they know that the gun went off, or did they just think that someone started shooting?
Gun goes off, and basically the U.S. just starts mowing people down. We don't even know who fired that shot. This is one of the chiefs. This is what it looked like from people trying to run away.
It's like the end scene in Titanic.
Why are they all over here sleeping?
What's that?
None of them are in weird positions, they're all like straight up.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
More or less what they did was really quick is after they killed them, they kicked them into burial positions because of rigor mortis. It's hard to bury people when they're like, you know, walking like that. Yeah. Pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's rigor mortis. Where basically your joints, because remember, when you die, your blood pressure stops, right? And so your blood will then coagulate and clot inside your veins. Hence why your limbs are now frozen.
You basically have to break the scabs out of your veins to move the body back.